what you got going on? And he said, I'm scared to death to come out of my house. And I said, okay. I said, fill me in. What scared you? And he says, this wolf walks up to me on the other side of the fence within 25 feet. And he said, I've got a 38 special on me. I did not know what it was. I shot it. I said, it's outside your house right now. He said, yes. I said, okay, I'm going to jump in the car. I'm headed your way. I can't see him because it's totally dark. And just out of the blue, for some reason, I just cut the flashlight on. When I did cut my light on, it lit the whole room up, but I could see this German Shepherd headed Dogman looking through the kitchen window. Okay. He can see us in the dark, but we can't see him.
Welcome back to the Eye of Jupiter. I'm your host, Tom Franklin, and today we got him back, ladies and gentlemen. Retired law enforcement officer from the great state of Tennessee, Mr. Bruce Brown, is joining us today, and he kind of kept his cards back a little bit, so we're going to see what he talks about. I'm looking forward to it. You guys have been incredible. We're getting a lot of feedback on the channel. I appreciate all of that. Go ahead and write your comments down below, and I will make sure that I respond to each and every one of them. If you want to reach out to me, you can do so at the Eye of Jupiter podcast at gmail.com. If you have something you want to talk to me about, and I'll have you on the show. All links in the description below. Go over there and follow me on, what do they call those things? StreamYard, not StreamYard. That's what we're recording on. What's it called? Spotify, wherever you get your MP3s. They're all there as well. Go ahead and leave me a rating as well. And I appreciate it. With all that out of the way, let's welcome back to the Eye of Jupiter, Mr. Bruce Brown.
Hey, everybody. How's everybody doing?
We're doing good. How's the weather there in Tennessee, buddy?
Raining.
It's hotter than the Dickens down here, man. It's just, in the 90s, pretty much all year round, except for maybe 3 months in the wintertime. But other than that, it's hot. It's hot out here, man. So you've been very busy, man. I've seen you doing the rounds. You were on the Cryptid podcast and many others, and I've been following it. It's been great that you've been getting out there. I think you started with me. Is that right? I can't remember. Is that true?
Yep, you're my first show I ever did. Yep.
Oh wow, that's incredible. That's weird. That's so.
And I've been on so many since I can't count them.
That's why I wanted you to do it, so I didn't have to do it.
I think I've done 3 Vic Kunda shows. About 5 Cryptid Hunter shows. I'm on the board with a Cryptid Wrangler every Friday night.
Oh, okay. I know them fellas. What's up, guys?
Yeah,
I know them.
Yep.
They're wonderful. That's a good crew out of there, California, and I believe, oh my God, Kentucky or Oklahoma. I can't remember exactly where the gentleman's from. The other gentleman,
Indiana. Yeah,
Indiana. You're right. I can't remember. Yes, I've had both of them gentlemen. What's up, Daniel? Go over and check out the Cryptid Wrangler podcast. You can go check that out. Was that every Friday, Bruce?
Every Friday at 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock, what, Eastern?
Pacific time. That would be 7 o'clock
Central. And 8 Eastern. All right, cool. Yeah, go check them out. Go and give them a like and subscribe. And if Bruce is over there, and of course Daniel, and can't think of the other guy's name.
Larry.
Yeah. Larry. Yeah, Larry Luttrell. That's it. It's a double L that got me.
And then we also got another one added. Scott Brush is on there with us.
Oh, I have to meet him. I'm going to have to talk to him. I'm going to have him reach out. I'm going to reach out to Scott.
He's got Urban Bigfoot.
Urban Bigfoot.
Yeah, the group Urban Bigfoot.
Scott Rush? How do you spell that? Let me go.
Brush.
R-U-S-H?
No, it's B-R-U-S-C-H.
Oh, Brush. Okay.
Yeah.
Scott Brush. C-O-T-T-B-R-U-S-H. All right, I'll give him a shout out. Bruce, for the people who are unacquainted with you, which can still possibly happen, people find you all the time, and could you tell them, a little bit about yourself and why you're here today?
I'm a former law enforcement officer, started out as a patrolman, left patrolman into a investigator and patrolman, and then went to a sheriff's department as a deputy sheriff, a sergeant of patrols, and then chief of narcotics, and then also belonged to Homeland Security at the same time. So
Wow,
that's about it for my career. I got into cryptids when I was 8 years old. So that was 56 years ago.
wow.
So I had the opportunity as serving as a lawman to deal with these things too. Of course, we had crashes and stuff involved them, people hitting them, people seeing them in their backyards, just stuff like that. So that gave me an opportunity to keep looking into the unknowns of all this. And then as a very young man, I learned that I'm no longer a researcher and an experiencer. I'm a knower. That's not an expert, but that's a knower because I've seen enough now to know. So I call myself a knower. And so I've had multiple encounters. Some people say I'm marked. I don't believe I'm marked. I believe they know by the way you carry yourself and how you act if you've encountered these things anywhere. They just pick up on that. I've had multiple Dogman experiences, multiple Bigfoot experiences. And that is where I come up with the term knower, because researcher and experiencer, I'm not. I'm a knower. So I try to intermingle with these things quite a bit, learn their habits, what their likes and dislikes are, if they're dangerous, if they're not dangerous. They're just like us. No two are the same. Different faces, different attitudes. I've only got into one mean one in 56 years, and I told about it on one of your podcasts where he chased the truck.
Yes, sir. It's maybe 30 episodes back, guys. Go check it out. It's one of those. It's actually in my intro, my MP3. I have your voice in there telling the story because you have such a great radio voice, and the way you said it, it was like makes the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. So once again, I appreciate you for coming on and telling me that.
Right. Yeah. And then I went back and started pretty heavy. I try to go as often as I possibly can. A lot of times the weather or life gets in the way, and I don't get to. When I retired, I pretty much spent every day in the woods, and then of course you got to come out sooner or later, mow the yard, and do the wifey list thing. They got to see you from time.
The honeydew list.
They got to see you every now and then. So, but I went this spring mushroom hunting. Of course, dry land fish is what we call them here in the Appalachian in Tennessee. It's a morel, a mushroom.
Oh yeah, they're wonderful.
And on that one, I had permission from a farmer, and he had quite a few acres, and it's always been a good spot for me to get mushrooms. So every time I'd go in there, I'd always bring him out a bag full too. And I'd stop by his house the evening before and let him know I was going to be back there. And his wife would give me an onion sack to put some in, and I already had me a sack, so I said, well, I'll fill this one up for them. Well, I drove out to the end of a hay field out a ridge, and I went over the mountain, found me a good flat spot, and I had my concrete rake in the truck, and I just took my concrete rake and we raked all the leaves back around and stuff where I set my tent up, and raked the leaves back in front of my tent where I was going to make my fire pit. So I got everything set up, and my last thing to do that evening was because I was staying all night, was to make my fire pit. So when I walked around the hill picking up big enough rocks to come back to make the fire pit, I started finding some dry land fish, So I took that onion sack that she gave me, the farmer's wife, and I put probably half or 2/3 full.
Wow.
And so I finished my fire pit just at dark. And or you got to keep in mind there's no leaves around my tent or nothing, because before I set my tent up, I raked all my leaves and everything back several feet back away and around my fire pit where no sparks or no, where I wouldn't set the woods on fire, more or less. And that night, while I was laying sleeping, I heard something walking, heavy footprints going around my tent. So this wasn't a well-known area for Sasquatch. And I unzipped the flap on my tent, and then I have a screen on it. So when I unzipped the screen, I reached and unzipped the main flap and pushed it back, and then zipped the screen back to where I was laying there. I could look straight out at my fire pit. My fire was going. And while I was laying there, I kept hearing something going around my tent. And so I just got real still instead of talking like I normally do. When I'm by myself, I'll just talk out loud. I just got real still, and it come between that screen on the front of my tent and the fire, and I was able to get a good outline that it was more than likely a Bigfoot. Still wasn't 100% for sure, because that fire was hitting him from the back. I couldn't see his face and stuff. So I got up the next morning, and I'll come out the tent, and I always keep a throw rug, just a little bitty old rug you pick up at the dollar store anywhere, right outside my tent, so I don't track stuff in and out of my tent. I can leave my shoes out there. Well, I unzipped that screen and put my feet out there and put my boots on. When I stood up and stepped off that, there was big, probably 18-inch tracks all the way around my tent. These were Bigfoot tracks. So I went ahead and fixed me a little breakfast and stuff, and then took off to the right of the tent over there's a little point there, and I knew I would do pretty good there. I was hoping I would. And so when I did, I got over there, but if I turned around, I could see my tent. So I got over collecting these mushrooms, and then I'd got quite a bit, and I had started down just a few feet down the hill, and my back still to the tent, and I heard something, and for some reason I just turned around and looked at my tent. My tent was destroyed. So
Whoa.
I'm like, I'm within sight of the tent the whole time, but I just have my back turned to it. And I look back around, it's destroyed, it's down on the ground. So I stop what I'm doing and I go check on it. Now it's ripped to shreds. Now all my tent poles and stuff, they're in good shape. They're not hurt. So I get my bag out and I'm picking these shredded pieces of tent up, putting it in the bag. And then I get my tent poles and I go ahead and haul everything to the truck because it's just right above me. I mean, when you stand up, go just a few feet up on the hill past the tent, you can see the truck. So I just took it up there and put it in the truck. And then when I come back and was inventorying my stuff, my percolator camping coffee pot was smashed, and that bag of dryland fish that I'd got the evening before for the farmer in that onion sack, it was gone. So that's what they was off after. I didn't think anything about it. I should have hung it outside up high on the limb, and they would have got it without tearing my stuff up. But
Oh.
That's
amazing that you were just there, slightly down the hill within eye shot of the tent.
Yeah, I just turned around. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you just turned around and the tent's just right up there. I mean, you can see it if you just turned around. And when I heard that noise and turned around, I mean, my tent was down. It was, of course, I didn't know it was in that bad a shape till I walked up there and seen it.
Right.
And it was just ripped like you would rip a piece of paper. All the tent material was ripped all to pieces. But the only thing was gone was that bag of mushrooms. Everything else, my food, everything was still there. Other than my coffee pot was mashed,
Makes me wonder, like, why they don't, if they liked them so much, why they wouldn't collect them themselves. I guess it was just easy, You know, I'm just thinking out of convenience. I don't know.
But they're territorial. If you get in there, if you get in there picking that stuff and it's theirs and they're there too, you know, mushrooms pop up overnight, you know, stay
Right.
up a few days, and you know the animals eat them and stuff. So yeah, I went down in there and there was already evidently some there. I mean, they walked around my tent that night, so that's what they were there for, was those mushrooms. And but that was a good experience. I mean, it didn't scare me. I just wished I hadn't tore my tent up, but you know, because when the one walked in front of the tent in the fire pit that night, it didn't scare me. I had a pretty good idea of what it was. So
I just don't know why. I don't know how you're able to do that, because I've never experienced one.
yeah.
You know, I guess if you're walking with me and we run across a python in the woods, which I have run across before, you know, like a 7-foot python, you might be
Right.
like a little bit like, hey, and I'll be like, it ain't gonna bother you. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's kind of like your whole life kind of dealing with this. I don't think I ever asked you this. Like, and we can get back into the experiences in a second, folks. What do you think they are? I don't think I've ever asked you that.
Oh, that's a really good question, and a lot of people don't quite understand. They're looking for an ape. They're looking for the flat nose, the conical head, all that. Now, they're different, but they're human. Okay, if you take yourself and just imagine yourself completely covered in 3 to 4 inch hair, that's a Sasquatch. Only difference is he's bigger, he's taller. You know.
So you think they're like some kind of offshoot or a different? I don't know what your beliefs are, but a different evolutionary line or something of this nature, and they just kind of
Yes.
their
Yes.
thing is they're just in the woods and we are, you know, in trucks and tents.
Right. There's 21 species of humans. They could have been 22 or 23 that we didn't know
True.
about.
Homo florens, Neanderthals, just to name a few. Yes. Okay.
Yes. So
Right.
each one I encounter has just a little bit different facial structure. It's just like us. When we're walking into a shopping center or anywhere, you'll see all these different types of people,
Right.
and that's what you're dealing with Bigfoot. It's
Okay.
not. There's no two the same. The same as
That's
us.
true. You always, I mean, you might hear, like, for example, you might say people from Holland are taller, or, you know,
Right.
people from Asia have certain facial structure that we're
Right.
accustomed with. But even within there, there's slight differences. You know, you hear like the conical shaped head ones, but even those within those types, or the wood booger with the square teeth,
Right.
with the bigger smile, they're all, even within those groups, there's differences. I understand what you're saying. That's interesting. Like I said,
Yeah.
I never got the chance to ask you that.
Yeah.
I like that.
The blondes, I call them, the blonde-haired ones, and the tan-faced ones. They have the Asian eyes. They have the squinted eyes,
Mm-hmm.
and you see that here too. That's the reason why I believe in the land bridge theory.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. They're
Yeah.
starting to find, just even like archaeologists and anthropologists are starting to say, you know, they just found those recently, those footprints out in white sands. They're like, yeah, this was way older than
Right.
just us, even us, you know, that we've
Right.
been here a lot longer. And then all the LiDAR things that they're finding and all the interesting, you know, structures that they're still finding here in the Yucatan Peninsula where I live. We're still, everyone thinks that history is settled. You know, it's not. It's still an ongoing process that we're looking back. I think they say, I forget who coined it. I can see his face. Graham Hancock said, "We're you know, a species with amnesia." So it's
Right.
kind of like we're still figuring these things out. So why not think that the possibility that something like that is also true? Have you ever had any weird experiences? Because you'll hear people, you know, there's two camps. There's the flesh and blood, and then they call it the woo. Have you ever experienced anything weird with them, like together with like the lights or
Yes.
UFOs or something?
Yes, and again, I'm on the fence on that because uh,
So
this
am
is
I.
a
Yeah.
this is a human being that is able to be the best hide and seek player in the world because he does not want to be around humans. Well, everybody's got the wrong opinion why he doesn't want to be around humans. They're terrified of us. We're a danger to them. So that's the reason why when we're out here in the fields and stuff messing with them, we don't want to back them in the corner because they're scared of us. And
Right. And if you back any animal into a corner, it's going to be aggressive, of course. Right.
And now they will have what some people call glowing eyes. They'll see orbs around, stuff like that. I don't know if that's coincidence, but I do believe they have nocturnal superpowers. If you put a hunting camera out, they see it in black and white, and it looks like a spotlight shining, a beacon like the Batman beacon to them off of a hunting camera.
Oh, right. That makes so much sense, dude. It's kind of like a turkey, where like a turkey is like, it's just got a different visual acuity. So like, you know, you have to sit still and you can't even really blink or something. So for them, that makes a lot of sense, man. It's a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Wow.
So you get a lot of blurry pictures, or you get a lot of pictures that have nothing in it. And they've learned to get around those cameras, so that makes them pretty smart, very smart. To where me and you would walk into the woods, we would never see that camera, and if we did, it already had our picture.
True.
Okay. Now these things see nocturnal, so their eye shines are a little bit different, and a lot of people would go back to the Polaroid days, to where you took a Polaroid picture and you had to shake it to the picture.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
we have that eye shine too. In those pictures, you will see our eyes shine in certain pictures.
Yeah, the red glow. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Well, when you get into nocturnal, then they have a pretty good eye shine because they can see in the dark a lot better than we can.
Got a thunderstorm going on right now.
Yeah.
Welcome to the tropics, ladies and gentlemen.
Right. But there's a lot to these things, and we are pushing them out. I have some people ask me, do you think the government is involved in them? And I'll put it to you like this. The government's trying to protect them. Okay? Just like they try to protect us. But there's so much government can do before lobbyists and corporations get into it. It's like the COVID, the biggest scam and joke in the world to make movies.
Thank you, sir. I've been saying it for years. Why do you think I'm here, Bruce?
Yep.
Why do you think I ran away to such a remote place?
Right. So the government's actually trying to protect them, but then you got minerals, mining companies, you got paper mills that owns hundreds of thousands of land of trees. All this is big industry, and with the overpopulation, its expansion we're going, a lot of their territory is getting destroyed. So they're moving into a lot of places that's closer into subdivisions and stuff than little plots of woods and stuff. So you're seeing more people see them now.
Makes sense.
Okay. They're not as dangerous as, people hang on to that good, scary, dangerous story. But the truth of the matter is, if they're in your backyard hanging around, they're not going to bother you. If you want to go out there and barbecue, talk to them, let them get used to your voice and stuff. And they'll become part of the family. They may not step out and interact with you, but they'll show themselves and voice themselves because they fear us. Because
so interesting. Sorry, Bruce. I'm just so interesting that you could just. So when you're in your backyard, which I think you also have some woods behind your house there, you just kind of talk to them and just be like, "Hey, how's it going?" Or what are you saying?
Well, okay. It's like me and you.
Right.
Okay. We know each other's voices. So we know, when I hear your voice, I know it's Tom, and you hear my voice, you know it's Bruce. When you're out, even in the deep woods, and you're dealing with these things, if you go through the woods talking, they know your voice. After a while, they get used to that voice. And so now, if they know your intentions are not bad, now they want to meet you. So they'll gift you. You hear a lot of people say, well, we gift them food and this. Well, they'll gift you first. When they're ready to meet, they'll gift you first. And generally, it could be a wreath, a stack of rocks, or something. They're ready to meet. They trust you. They know your voice. So when you take somebody else in the woods with you, you don't see them. You'll see the structures. You'll see the footprints. But after they're with you a few times, they accept their voice. They know that you're calm. They know you're not. You don't have
That's
ill
like having a
intentions.
neighbor. It's like having a neighbor that you
Right,
talk to.
right,
So if you hear, like, you know, if you're in your bedroom sleeping upstairs and you hear someone talking in the backyard, all of a sudden you listen for a second. You go, oh, it's just, you know, Bruce is over there having a barbecue. No big deal.
right, right.
Right.
It's the same
Okay.
thing with these cryptids. I call them cryptids so people understand what they are. I'm 100% believer in them being human. The mitochondrial DNA, which is on the mother side, definitely says that they're over 50% of that is human. They don't know what the father side is, but they do know what the father side is, but they're just not releasing it. And so we're getting into uh, more and more encounters, whether that's that split second encounter crossing the road in front of you, whether you're in your backyard and it backs up to a set of woods, you hear the screams, you uh, are on the back deck and a pebble gets thrown up on the roof and rolls off on the deck where you can see it. You know, they're trying to communicate. And I had one young man that got so obsessed with them because he seen it pick his cat up and he knew his cat was going to be killed. But then it set his cat back down and walked back in the woods.
Oh my God.
And so, you know, his parents said he quit college and put all these cameras up, and he stayed up day and night watching these screens. And he become so obsessed with them. But when he would lay down and go to sleep of a daytime from exhaustion, they would come out. And then he'd catch them on the camera. He'd go back and rewind it and catch them on his camera.
Yeah.
Well, after accepting them and him not being as scared of them, and they weren't scared of him, he decided to go hush on it and not tell anybody because he wanted to protect them. Now they're his buddies, they're his neighbors.
Right.
You know, so we have a lot of that too. Again, put hair on us and put us out in the woods, we're gonna buff up. You know, sometimes something looks 9 feet tall when it's not but 7. It's just
Yeah.
buffed up. You know.
Yeah, you hear a lot of that where people are, you know, like Barbara Shoup, for example, is a great example where she's just, you know, she just kind of is there, and and they're just friendly with her, and she, you know, she's like, they don't like their picture taken, they don't like this, they don't like that, but she has some really incredible footage. If you ever get a chance to look at her Barbara Shoup's channel, SCHUPE, there's people who are afraid of them because I think it's natural. It's natural for us to be afraid of something.
Yeah, we were all raised up to stay out of the woods. The wood booger get you, or the boogeyman, or whatever.
The boogeyman. That's what they called it where I was. Yeah, that's what that is. You think that comes from that, the boogeyman?
Yeah, that's your old indigenous people would say that.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
that's all. I don't. All right. So it's like a what do you call it? Like folklore. I mean, I grew up in Baltimore, man. I mean, I just finally got myself a Ravens hat. I'm a Baltimore man, right?
There you go.
Yeah, dude. And you know, we would, you know, I grew up in the city, sometimes in the county. We moved a lot as a kid, but you would hear that, you know, kids in school would talk about the boogeyman. And I always thought it was something like more akin to, like, if you ever watched the movie The Candyman. You know what I mean?
Right,
something where it's kind of like a spooky ghost kind of thing. Something big though too. It was big, scary, but it never was like kind of spoken. Like, I guess it got lost through time. But connection.
As Europeans mingled with the Indians, the stories got changed. And so when stories get changed, the Indians will stick to when they pass the story down from generation to generation, they will stick to the point of what it was. The Europeans come in and have an experience. They add a little bit to it. And to where it's now the boogeyman instead of
The wood booger.
Yeah,
All right.
or wood booger, or
Uh-huh.
it's just the hairy man's going to get you.
Yeah.
And it was just it's a way to keep the kids in the yard nowadays. Back then, it was taken very seriously.
Yeah, even Appalachia is a very spooky place. I don't think people realize it's scarier than the Rockies, the Andes. It's scarier than most mountains. First of all, I believe it's the oldest mountain range in the world.
It
and
is.
and then it moves from the continental drift and all that we've experienced, that we haven't experienced, but that we know about now. And those mountains are like, kind of eroded and rounded. It's a very beautiful place, but there's some hollers back there, and there's so many stories of people like, if you hear someone calling you in the woods, don't go in there, or when it's dark time, you got to come out of the woods. You got to stay in the yard. You can't go in there because there's witches and all kind of stuff. It's a very spooky place.
Another famous Indian folklore is the Moon-Eyed people. The Moon-Eyed people left a lot of markings, a lot of big rocks that they carved on and stuff. And these were people that lived and only come out at nighttime, and they were called the Moon-Eyed people by the Native Americans. So,
what do you know? What do you know about them? Have you had experiences with that?
Yes, there's plenty of evidence out there for it, but in the carvings, in these cave systems, and under these bluffs, if you know how to read the story, you can read the story that they're depicting on the cave drawings. You'll have. I go way deep into the warrior's path, which is all known for that. From ancient times, talked about that, and so you'll catch something out of a corner of your eye. It'll be real light-skinned, but its head seems to be bigger than a normal head, and the eyes have a moon shape to them, and they don't have eyebrows and stuff. And so most people mistake that with aliens.
Oh,
with grays. See.
What do you mean by moon shape? Do you mean like crescent moon or?
Right, they're moons. They're huge and they're perfectly round, full moon shape. So they call them moon-eyed.
Okay.
So they look like the grays everybody talks about that are saying are aliens. So I tend to believe a lot of times those are misidentified as aliens instead of the moon-eyed people.
I've never heard of this before. I've never ever heard it. It's like every time I start talking to people from Appalachia like yourself and many, many others, there's I've heard of the was it the black-eyed children, or I think they're called them.
Yeah.
I've heard of them. Do you know anything about them?
Yep. And I also know about the raven walker. Have you heard anything about him?
No, sir.
Okay, a raven walker is a giant bird that walks like a man and as tall as the average man. He runs between 5'8" and 6 feet tall. He's a soul snatcher. He only comes after the elderly on their dying beds. And that's happened a lot in the Appalachia. You hear a lot about the raven walker. And he's covered in crow feathers. He looks like a crow. He's giant as a crow, but everything about him, and he makes the sound of crows, but he'll walk across your rooftop and stuff at night when you have an elderly person dying in the house.
Yo, I always wanted to move out there, but I think I'm going to change my tune now, dude. That's some spooky stuff, dude. That's really spooky.
Now, I just done a piece on the pygmies of Tennessee, which is very interesting. They're the small people, generally about 2 foot tall. They're Native Americans. They're called pygmies. They ruled one path of the warrior's path through the middle of the state. There's over 100,000 burial sites of them, and they're buried in a 2.5 by 19 inches wide by 16 inches deep limestone box. And there's recorded to be up to 100,000 in a 6-acre field. So those were talked about by several different tribes all the way through, as far as they can go back to them.
But I'm sorry, I'm pulling up something at the same time we're talking. because there's something similar here that I'm going to go ahead and share this with you. I don't know if I've ever talked to you about it. I know people here have talked about it before. There we go. It's different here. I'm used to teaching people English all day. So here they have a different word for them. And like these pictures, and this picture is not going to be very good, but they're called Alush. It's a Mayan word. Alush. They are, as you're describing, 2 to 3 foot tall. They are like they call them they're what's the word I'm looking for? They're like Cupid, whatever that form of fae is, and they're Native American. They're actually conjured by the Mayan Indians, and there are so many sightings of these things around here that this is the next thing for me, is that eventually, I don't want people to hold me to it. I'm going to there's carvings all over the place in the pyramids and adjoining structures of these things, and there's so many stories, Bruce, of people. I've talked to people here about that because this is what I do. I enjoy trying to get out this information because some of it's especially when it comes to Dogman, they can be a little bit more aggressive, as you know, and a little more scary from what I've heard. And they're saying, these things live in the cave systems here. The whole thing is a limestone outcrop, and there's caves everywhere here. And they'll come. There was a story, Bruce, where this a gentleman, a friend of mine that I worked with, a Mexican fellow, he was talking about his uncle and his uncle's friend. They were in a backyard, and his backyard is maybe an acre. It's a huge backyard with like some wooded area, like more jungle, but I call it angry forest. If you've ever been to the jungle, it's just an angry forest. And you can't see jack squat, dude. You can't see, but maybe 10 to 15 feet, and then you can't see nothing, which I think there's also Bigfoot down here. There's also been sightings of Dogman about 15 minutes from where I sit right here. Or so the Nakwal. Nakwal is a name for, what do they call that? The Ninanalushi, Skinwalker. They're also here. And so his friend was like, I'm hearing something over. He goes, there's a cave back there. I'm going to show you something. They were drinking beer. He pours a little glass of beer, puts it on like the stump, takes a cigarette, lights it, sets it on the stump. This thing comes out 2.5, 3 foot tall, right? Wow. They like to throw rocks too. Yeah. And this thing just takes a beer, drinks it, smokes a cigarette, and walks away. They get this thing that happens here that people get like a fever. They'll get a fever for 3 or 4 days. And some of them, Bruce, have perished because of this. And so my plan in the future is to go into these deep Mayan communities. That's my next language I'm learning. I'm a polyglot. I speak 3. So that will be my first indigenous language that I want to learn. And take a van, podcast setup, multiple angles, and just talk to these people. Go in there, get the plant medicine. They have tons of plant medicine. And go, they're always here at night. And go and investigate these things. And you saying what you said about the pygmy, is there any similarities in what I'm saying with what you experienced?
Yes, yes, they're in White County here in Middle Tennessee. If you Google it, it'll tell you about the pygmies. The Smithsonian come in and took thousands of the graves, and then of course the bones disappeared. But
like always.
When the farmers turned the properties to make crops, turned the land, they uncovered a lot of them. So some of the farmers did keep the tiny skeletons and stuff. The Smithsonian tried to pass them off as Indians that were cut up and bundled up with leather and put in small graves. But the farmers managed to keep the whole skeletons and intact, And so
here we are. This is what you're talking about here, Bruce.
Yeah, the one on the left of the 2 heads, that's your pygmy head.
Oh, okay. This part here.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that is significantly smaller.
Yep.
And here's some of the graves, and I all right, man. All right. Now, being a law enforcement officer in the time that you were, because I know like some of these things will come up while you're on call or on duty. People hearing things in their yard, or the road incident you talked about. you could only basically come out and start talking about this with me, oddly enough, after you retired because of
Yeah.
fear of like losing your pension, correct?
Yes, and being locked up because we have policy and procedure. You're not allowed to talk about this. They can strip you of everything you got and lock you up.
So it's like talking about a case that you're not. So, oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. When it comes to things like this, it's always an open investigation, so you're not allowed to talk about it.
Wow. Okay, I didn't know that. So it's Tennessee Pygmy, Moon-Eyed People, Raven Man,
Raven Walker. Yeah.
Raven Walker. Okay, those are ones I got to look into. If anybody wants to talk to me about that, please contact me at the eye of Jupiter at podcastgmail.com. I'm always interested in all these things. Let's go into like the one that seems to be it's really weird to say the word, but I guess popular, or the one that seems to be talked about and that you've had multiple experiences with. What can you tell me about the Dogman, dude?
The Dogman comes in about 5 or 6 different varieties. They have the ones which are very uncommon here in Middle Tennessee on the Warrior's Path, and that's the German Shepherd head Dogman. Every now and then you will run into one. Most of the Dogman are short snout, have big floppy ears like a cow. They can make those ears lay back flat against their head. They're generally stay in the 7-foot range, but it's not uncommon to find one 8.5 to 9 foot tall. They're mostly loners, but they do pack up from time to time. I got into a holler. The farmer asked me not to give because he had witnessed it too. Matter of fact, he was standing on the mountain above me, looking at binoculars, and witnessed me down there with him. So again, I'll say it was on the Warrior's Path, which it was, but I can't say what county and what part of the state.
Sure, of course.
I got followed. I went down in there and I got followed by 7 dogmen. They range from 6.5 feet to 8 feet is about what we estimated. They followed me up the spring branch towards him, and he was watching them through binoculars. There were 4 females and 3 males. As we was coming around a point to start up the ridge, the females and the males got into a terrible fight. So I had one male and a female stand back, and the others started fighting. And then within a few feet of me, one of the females threw one of the males, and he landed like 25 feet from me. So I then slowly walked up the holler, the creek branch, and got up far enough to where I could watch the fight go on. And this went on for a good, to me, it seemed like 15 minutes, but it probably wasn't over 5 because the intensity of it and the screaming.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And got into that one. And then my witness was the farmer. And he was trying to use his cell phone to videotape it, but he couldn't get it zoomed in because, these cell phones are pixels. They're low pixels, 3 pixel, 5 pixels, so on. So they tend to pick up what's closest a limb. They tend to focus on the limb. They're blurry in and out. But what had happened there is that these males started following me and the females stopped them. And that's what caused the fight. And I had been in there several times, so they were used to me and my smell and the way I talked. And then I got into, a buddy of mine calls me at nighttime. He wakes me up and he tells me, say, Bruce, said, a friend of mine, and we both know him. He said, a friend of mine has got a problem. He really, really needs to get a hold of you. And he said, all right, if I give him your number and stuff. I said, yeah, I've got no problem. So just in a few minutes, he calls me. And he said, Bruce, he said, I know who you are and stuff. You know who I am. I said, yeah, I know you. I said, no problem there. What you got going on? And he said, I'm scared to death to come out of my house. And I said, okay. I said, fill me in. What scared you? He said, I got some hogs and they had some piglets. And he said, I had to take a panel fence and put along my regular fence to keep the piglets from going through the holes and getting out behind the barnyard there. And he said, I was on the inside of the hog lot putting these panels up. And he says, this wolf walks up to me on the other side of the fence within 25 feet. And he said, I've got a 38 special on me. I did not know what it was. I shot it. And it scared me and I shot it. And it took down into the gully into a bunch of honeysuckles and it was bleeding. And I said, okay, what do you want me to do? And he's like, well, right now it's coming around my house. It's on the outside of my house. I said, it's outside your house right now. He said, yes. I said, okay, I'm going to jump in the car. I'm headed your way. So I jumped in my vehicle, my truck, and I headed his way. When I pulled up in his driveway, I got my cell phone and it picks up on his Wi-Fi. So I tell him, I said, I called him through Messenger and I said, hey, I'm out here in the driveway. Do you still see him? He said, yeah, he's on the back porch. I said, if he tries to come through the window or whatever, shoot him. Don't let him get to you. He said, oh, I'll shoot him. I said, don't back up, you know. He said, it won't be no problems. If he tries to come through into my house, I'm going to shoot. So I said, I'm going to sit here in the driveway with my lights off and see if he comes around to the front of the house. Well, he did. He come around the upper side and come around to the front of the house and got on the porch. When he got on the porch, I dropped my vehicle and drive with the lights off, and I drove up in his yard, and then I cut my lights on high beamed. Well, it was he's about a little over 7 foot tall wolf head. Big, long wolf headed. German Shepherd, I call it, type head. One of the very few I've seen. So I'm looking him up and down, and he's got no blood or nothing on him, but this farmer says he shot him point blank with a 38 and he's bleeding. There's blood. So when I do that, he jumps off the porch and goes into the barn. Now, when I first pulled in, I could see the barn and part of the front door. But when I pulled up into the yard against his porch and flipped the high beams on, I could no longer see the barn.
Right.
Okay. So I'm on the phone with him, and I said, I can hear the pigs squealing. He said, it's in the barn. It's in the barn after my pigs. So I get out of the vehicle. I said, you can come with me. He said, no, I ain't coming out. So I get out of the barn, and I had my shotgun out of the car, and I walk over to the barn. When I get to the barn, I've got a good light. I can't find him. He's left. He's went out the back of the barn doors. So I go back around, and I walk up on his front porch, and I holler and tell him, this time we're not on the phone this time because I need my hands free for my light and my gun.
Yes, sir.
And I holler and tell him, I said, it's me, don't shoot. So he opens the door, and I walk in. He's got a biting pit bull. And I was like, watch that dog. I don't want to get bit. He said, that dog's scared to death. He said, I ain't never seen him do that. He's whimpering, whining. And so we was in the living room. The dog went behind the couch. And this is a big dog. This is an 80, 90-pound dog. Big muscled up pit bull. And so we go at it again. This Dogman comes back again. So I tell him, cut all the lights off in the house. Cut all the lights off. We don't want no lights on in the house. So we go into the kitchen. The dog we're not getting out of his sight. He runs up under the table, and then we're sitting there and completely dark. And I had walked over there and pulled the Venetian blinds up at the kitchen sink. and the dog starts whimpering again, and he starts cowering, and he's not barked the whole time. And the farmer's telling me, this dog always barks till I make him shut up. He won't shut up. So we're sitting at the table, and he starts this whimpering, and then I can tell, I can't see him because it's totally dark. I can tell that he's done moved under the kitchen table so far that he's hitting the wall where the table's against. And just out of the blue, for some reason, I just cut the flashlight on. When I did cut my light on, it lit the whole room up, but I could see this German Shepherd headed Dogman looking through the kitchen window. Okay. He can see us in the dark, but we can't see him. So I told him, I said, well, he's at the kitchen window. And I said, I'm going to get up, don't even look that way, don't act, and please don't shoot, because I'm here, I don't want to get shot. So I take my shotgun and I go out the back door. When I go out the back door and step around there where the kitchen window is, he has done backed away from the kitchen window. And I burned him with a shotgun right good, and he took off. And this time he went wide and he went in the barn. So I had a pocket full of shells loose in my pocket. So I followed him into the barn cautiously, and this time I was able to get, I think, a total of 4 rounds off on him, and he hightailed it out of there. So this time it was like 3:30 in the morning. I'm telling the farmer, I said, I'll just hang out here with you till daylight, and we'll look around and see if he's hurt your hogs or your piglets. And he said, yeah. He said, I'd appreciate that. So me and him just sat around there and talked and listened. The dog was no longer nervous, so we knew he wasn't close.
Okay.
Okay. The
Yeah.
dog just become
docile. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, he was just, and you could tell he was exhausted. His tongue was hanging out of his mouth, panting. So we knew he was panicked, but he'd already calmed back down. So it gets daylight. We go out to the barn. There's nothing wrong with the pigs or the hogs, nothing. When we come around the other side where his feed room is, the door's broke, and there's a 25-pound bag of piggy punch that you feed pigs to wean them off the hog for dysentery. Well, 2/3 of that bag had been eaten by this Dogman. So the only thing I could think of that I could tell him was that this is not the one that you shot at the fence. This is probably its mate looking for him.
Right.
So I said, go show me where you shot him at. And, by this time he had his high-powered rifle. I had a pistol on my hip, and he had his 38 on him. And so we walk over and we look, and I cross the fence. Sure enough, there's blood everywhere. But when I go down in the gully, honeysuckles and everything, there's just all the leaves are, everything that is covered up in blood. But we never found it. So I stayed another couple hours with him, probably till 8 or 9 o'clock that morning. And I said, okay, you got my number. If this happens again, call me just as soon as it happens so I can get over here.
Damn, dude.
But, he never experienced anything else there again. And so I don't know whether he was hunting his mate or what the deal was.
Yeah, I just and I know you're I have there's SOP. I'm a former military man myself, and you being a policeman, but the enemy, so to speak, or whatever it is, I know what they are. They're humans that are trained to then take me out, and I'm trained to take them out. That's my job. That's what I do, and I do it, and I did it. That was my thing. But when you're coming into something that is, I mean, what is the Dogman, man? What is that?
Okay. I don't know if it's been released yet. Dogman is part human too. It's got a human DNA. Some of them have the front arms and hands of a man, Some of their hands can be so big. There's one in particular that I watched that had hands that could just pick up a basketball and completely cover it. Now, they look like raccoon hands, but they're massive hands. On the front, they're not paws, they're hands, they're fingers, just like we got, but they're massive. And where the dew claw is supposed to be back here is a human thumb sticking out. So
Oof.
those are no doubt human, part human, and don't know what else, whether it could be wolf.
They seem to be a little bit more
Combination.
aggressive than the Sasquatch or the woodboogers. That they seem to be a little more aggressive or a little bit more
They're
territorial or
loners,
something.
right? They're most of them are loners. You very seldom see more than one, and when you do, you generally see a pack or you see two. But then I got into the one at Standing Stone State Park that I was very familiar with as a pup, and now he was up to about 70 or 80 pounds. And when I run into him there's a hiking trail above us. He could hear the people talking, and he had slipped down below them. But when he seen me, he remembered me, and he would come up close to me and try to make these gestures with his mouth. Then he'd turn around and walk to the edge of the water, and then turn around and come back to me. And I realized he's trying to get me to follow him. But this water is so cold it'll take your breath. I mean, it's got trout in it. So I picked up a 4-foot, you could call it a log, probably about that big around and 4 foot long, and I throwed it in the water because I wasn't about to swim out across there and it's that cold without something to hang to of some kind of buoyancy, because that cold water shocks your body. It'll lock
Yes,
you
sir.
up. So
Love the
I
way you
followed
talk,
him.
man. I love the way you talk. I'm from the East Coast, big city, and you say it'll lock you up.
Right.
It makes me laugh. I love it. I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt.
Oh, that's fine. And we swum it, and he stayed just right ahead of me. Well, at that time of the evening, all the boats, aluminum boats and stuff, were brought back in because you got to bring them in an hour before dark. So there was nobody there at the dock, and the dock's got a roof on it. And when we get to the dock, he gets out on the dock, and then he waits for me to catch up. So me and him both are on the dock. Well, then I follow him, and he goes to it's a dam that one vehicle can cross at a time. Well, we start over the other side of it, and he hears people talking down there, and I do too. Somebody's down there fishing or whatever. So he turns around and motions to me to follow him, and then he's making just a low guttural noise. So I follow him, and we go straight up a mountainside. Well, I had to stop 7 or 8 times. I just can't do that, As a human being, we're not built like they are. And as I stopped, he would stop a few feet above me and wait on me. But he'd be looking, cautiously looking, like a deer or something would be, all the way around. When we get up to the top of the hill finally, and I hear a vehicle off in the distance coming, and he hears it too. And he makes a motion and walks out at me and makes a motion like he's going towards that vehicle. But then he turns and looks at me, and then we were probably there 7 or 8 minutes before I realized he's wanting me to go on because he's going to lead these other people off because he thinks they're following him. And that's what I'm thinking. I don't know what, because I'm not reading his mind. He's not talking English. And so when I cut through there, and he stays back, and after I get just a few yards, I'm looking, and he eases back into the woods out of this growed up field, and he's going on. He's going on. Well, 20 yards from the road, here comes this truck. Well, it's a road. It's a highway. I didn't know it was that close. He was leading, and the name of the road was Baptist Ridge Road. So I get up there and I get on the road. Now keep in mind, I'm soaking wet. This is early spring, so it's still cold weather. We got 30 degree something nights. So I'm walking out the road, and this elderly man pulls up and said, "You need a ride?" I said, "Yeah, I'm parked over here in the park." And I told him where I was parked at, and he said, "I know where you parked at." It's exactly where you. He said, "I know exactly where you're talking about." So I get in the truck with him, and he gives me a ride over, and I thank him and try to pay him. And he said, "No, you don't owe me anything, but hey, tell me, what are you doing soaking wet?" I said, "Oh, I was around the lake over there and slipped and fell in." I wasn't fixing to tell him about I swam the
Right.
lake with a Dogman, you know, 'cause that turned out to be a very interesting situation. But I wasn't afraid of him because I had run into him when he was a pup.
Did you ever find out what it really wanted?
He was trying to get away from the people on the trail.
Uh-huh.
Th-
And
There's a
he
walking
trusted you
trail.
and wanted you to
Yeah,
like go with him to
yes,
protect you?
he to protect me. He wanted me to follow him. He was he was bypassing everybody out there, but he was looking after me, and
So he
that
must have sensed something. He must have sensed something.
well, it's the one that I talked about that I found that had the clear eyes and no tail.
It's the same one.
It's the same one.
But later,
Yes.
holy moly, dude.
Yeah.
When you're telling me these stories, there's always a part of me that goes, man, why isn't Bruce like when you're talking about this, why aren't you like, shaking or stuttering or something? Is it just that it's been your whole life and it's just been
Yes.
so
Yes.
often that it just doesn't?
It just doesn't affect me. If you take, like, I took a guy out, and all he wanted to do was see a Bigfoot. He didn't want to see it up close. He just wanted to see it at a distance.
Sounds like me.
Okay. He'd never seen one. His father, his mother, both of his grandparents, and both of his great grandparents talked about them being on the properties they owned. And uh, so I took him and I told him I give him the lowdown on it and what to expect and stuff. Can your nervous system? Oh yeah, yeah. This is I think he was 6'4", pretty good sized guy. And I said, okay, we're going to go into a place. He said, Bruce, all I want to do is see one. I just want to see it. I've heard my grandparents and everybody talking about them. I just want to see one. So we went. I said, now where I'm going to take you, they're not going to walk out on us till they get used to you. So you need to do a lot of talking till you get so bored of hearing yourself talk out loud. So we get down in the mountains and we go every day for right at 2 weeks. They stepped out. So when they stepped out, we was in a wide creek. Then the creek was fed by a spring branch, although most of the creek was ankle deep, with a few spots with a waist deep in it. So I told him, I said, I see one and they're coming out, and I want you to stay back. And I set the camera up on the tripod and everything. I just want you to run the camera. And I said, because when they come around that bend, you're going to see the whole body. You're just seeing something move. You can't determine what it is yet.
Okay.
But I want you to run the camera, and I'll make sure that they don't come up towards you. So we get down in there, and I go down there, and I meet them. But I get them out in the open and a straight enough stretch that where he can get them filmed. So we'll have this interaction for about 45 minutes with a big female. She keeps the rest of them back, and uh, she's trying to talk in sign language to me. And so our interaction was over with probably 45 minutes. It might have went an hour. I turn around to look up the creek because I'm not wanting to give him away. So I never look back up the creek because he's filming. I turn around and look, and he's gone. The camera's still sitting there on the tripod, but he's gone. So we get done there, and I come back out there, and I'm hunting for him. So I'm going through the woods calling his name. He's not answering me. So I go back and I get my camera, I pack everything back up, put my camera stand, break it down, it slides in, and then I get it all back in my backpack and stuff. And I mean, it's not long before dark. If I don't start out of here, it's going to be pitch dark. Of course, I ain't too worried about it because I've got a headlamp with me to wear on my head. But I need to get this equipment back up there, and I need to go find him. When I get back up to the truck, he's sitting in the truck with the doors locked, and I'm like, unlock the door and let me in. I mean, it just terrified him.
Yeah.
So he does, and I put my stuff over in the bed of the truck, and I'm backing out, and we come back out, and we're headed down the main road. And I look at him, I said, tomorrow we're going to come back, and I need you to film, and I'll bring a bigger lens to put on the camera so you can stay further. At that time, he was probably 50 yards behind me filming. I said, how much film did we get? He said, I didn't film it. I was like, what? I said, it was on. I said, I already had it set up and running. He said, I was looking through that lens, and when it come out in the open and I seen it, he said, I hit the button and stopped it. And I took off running, and I didn't stop till I got to the truck. So I only got like 3 seconds of this female standing there, and he cut the feed on me. He cut the recording on me.
And he just told you that he was just terrified or whatever.
Right. And of course, I know, I mean, a lot of people talk big until something like that happens,
Yes, sir.
and then they're gone, you know.
Oh yeah,
So
I'd probably be one of them. I'm not gonna lie.
So I didn't hold him against him because I'm not that big and thrilled on film them to start with. I like to use certain cameras to where the pictures can't be GPSed. I don't like to use my cell phone because you can GPS a cell phone picture instantly. And
Right.
so
Or you could screenshot that cell phone picture and therefore then resend it again. Then the GPS will be, you can
at the
even
bottom of it,
scratch it out. You know what I'm saying? And like wiggle it.
right.
Yeah. Yeah, Bruce. I mean, there's never been a time, there hasn't been a time that you haven't come on here and just, it was a cartoon. My jaw is literally on the ground because, being a city folk like myself, I don't, I just, it's just amazing. It's shocking. And for you, it's just, part of your life. What has compelled you to come out and talk to me and other people before I get you better? What has compelled you to do so, to get their side of the story out? I guess maybe.
What happened is I started seeing a lot of people posting actual pictures, and they got hit hard. People laughing at them, naysayers, and then even some big names in the Bigfoot business were putting these people down. And I was trying to figure out, if they know what a Bigfoot or a Dogman looks like, why are they attacking? Well, I was talking to a friend who was belonged to the Bigfoot believers and other creatures, Daryl Denton's group.
Oh yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they told me, said, come on this group and talk about this. And there's other people that's probably had the same type of encounters that you've had. And here we don't allow any laughing emojis or any kind of hate stuff.
Right.
And the person said, what you got to say, I mean, is something that people need to learn, that these things are not out to kill everybody and everything. And so I joined the group. I was in the group. I joined the group I think in December the year before. Then I started getting private messages from people with threats. So I bailed out of the group because I thought that's where they were getting their information. And so I bailed out of the group. My buddy calls me up and says, hey, I mean, you got to come out with this. You can't go to your grave and not educate people on this, because it's not right that these things is not nowhere like people are making them out to be. And you have all the first hand knowledge on it, and you're not scared of them. And she says, there's people can't even talk about it without crying, or last minute going on a podcast, they'll bail out because their nerves can't handle it.
Mhm.
you know. And I was like, well, I said, I'll try it. She said, well, I got a good one. I think you'll like him. And I said, well, okay, I'm going to give it one shot, but I'm not really into the public thing of all this. She said, I'm going to hook you up with Tom Franklin. I was
I
like,
would love to know
all
who that
right.
was who sent you my way. Was it
I'll
Pam?
tell you after the show.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Shout out if it's not Pam. If it's not Pam, I'm sure she would have directed you my way too. Wow, wow! I can't believe that whoever this person is said that.
Yeah.
Whoever you are, thank you very much, and I'm so glad that you stepped forth. And I'm also so very honored and glad that you came on to talk with me again today, man. You are
Oh,
always invited.
the
We'll spread
honor's
them
all
out through
mine.
time. Okay, fair enough, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I know that you're not here in it for any type of publicity, so there's nothing that you promote or anything
I,
like that. No, so yeah,
I have not made one penny, not one red cent off of these hundreds of podcasts and these
hundreds. Wow,
people
brother.
that talk, people talking to me, private messaging me, showing me their photos, asking me what can they do next, showing me scat, getting my opinions on tracks, structures.
Right.
I don't charge anything because uh, if when the truth is out there and enough people can comprehend it and understand, and this is the best way I can put it to people. If Bigfoot and Dogman was so terrible and so mean, uh, when you went to the park to swim, when you went even in town to sit out on a picnic table, uh, these things would get you, but they're not. They're scared of you. They stay away from humans for a reason. You know, we tend to destroy and hurt things that we don't understand. And so I think, well, I'm going to come out and let people know that you ain't got to stick a sword through them. You ain't got to shoot them with a cannon or nothing else. They don't mean you no harm. You know?
I'm sorry. I
Yeah.
think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just human nature. Whatever we don't know, we're afraid of, and
Right.
we like to conquer it. And to know things makes us feel good, and the unknown makes us extremely afraid. And I just love to bring forth. There's people who've had bad encounters with him, but I'm sure you can explain a lot of those away from territorial things and things of that nature, and just realize, okay, if you do this, then you won't have any problems anymore, and just let them be them
Right.
and you be you. Right.
Don't
Oh, wow.
don't go wood knocking in the woods unless you know what that wood knocking means.
Yeah, and don't mess with Ouija boards if you don't know what's on the other side. That's all I always
Exactly.
tell people about those things,
Exactly.
for sure.
Yeah.
Ouija boards I think they're more dangerous than a Bigfoot, honestly. Easy.
100%. 100%.
Yeah. Yeah. Bruce, once again, thank you so very much for coming on, buddy.
Oh, anytime you want me to sit down and shoot the breeze, let's do it.
Dude, absolutely, buddy. And
I mean,
if I ever get a chance to come up in Tennessee area, hopefully the military
you're more than welcome.
steps up and helps me out a little bit more. Hopefully this does well. And I would love to do this full time. And I'll definitely come up there and visit you for sure. For sure. You're one of the few.
I'll take you to pygmy graves. I'll take you to cave systems with dogmen. And you might even get to do what I done just a few weeks ago, was stick your head in a cave and have a dogman look at you about a foot from your nose.
No, that's not going to happen, Bruce.
Once you get calm, and used to them, and realize that they're not that aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
They're curious about us, but they're scared of us.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
As long as you're talking out loud and let them get used to your voice, your intentions, your swagger, they'll pick you out of a million people. They just know it.
I have many people tell me that, that I just have that. I can do that. I'm very easy to talk to, which is great for being a host. I would start slow. Like if we could sit in the truck and see a Bigfoot through the window, and then I'll go into the woods with you, and then I'll whatever, and then later, I know you don't get to pick and choose. they come out and trust you as they trust you as you're telling me. But definitely, buddy. And yeah, this has been great, buddy. Thanks.
Oh, no problem. No problem. Let's do it again.
Absolutely. So remember, guys, we are the Eye. We are aware. Love you all. Have yourself a wonderful day.